Welcome back to Dark Corner's Physical Media Reviews. This week we're looking at a new Blu-ray box set of one of Universal's classic franchises, The Mummy. The 1932 original was very much Universal trying to replicate the success of Dracula and Frankenstein, reusing plot elements of the former and the breakout star of the latter.
Have we not met before, Miss Grosvenor?
Karloff called Jack Pierce's makeup the most trying ordeal I ever endured. It took 8 hours to apply, followed by 7 hours of filming, alleviated only by a tea break, then 2 hours to remove the makeup again. The result was stunning, and at least Karloff only had to go through it once. The mummy Imhotep is barely on screen, making an unforgettable impression on the audience and reducing Bramwell Fletcher's Ralph Norton to hysteria.
What's the matter, man?
He went for a little walk.
Before being reincarnated into Egyptologist Ardat Bey.
We Egyptians are not permitted to dig up our ancient dead. Only foreign museums.
Whose makeup took a mere hour. The directorial debut of the great German cinematographer Karl Freund, The Mummy is shot with atmosphere and style, proceeding at a slow, meditative pace appropriate to its love across the centuries plotline. While it contains strong horror elements, particularly in its lavish flashback sequence, this is, like so many of Universal's best horrors, a tragedy.
No man has ever suffered for woman as you suffered for me.
And it's notable how many reviewers and historians have referred to it as poetic. It's a great performance by Karloff, suggesting that Imhotep's long wait has driven him mad without it ever being said or falling into histrionics. Despite box office success, The Mummy had no direct sequel, so when Universal returned to horror after its mid-30s break, a new antagonist was dug up for The Mummy's hand, although his flashback is reused from the 32 film, something most of the following films would do.
Oh yes, I believe I have the facts correct.
Here, Western star Tom Tyler is the mummy Kharis, and the tone is pacier and with an emphasis on comedy over tragedy.
Oh, boy, that's a wow. Let me try it.
This time the mummy sticks around, controlled by George Zucco's Andoeb,
Go while the moon is yet high in the heavens. Your power to move wanes with the moon.
and is used to some extent as a weapon to destroy those who desecrate the tombs of Egypt. This set the pattern for the next 3 films. Kharis, driven by his love for the Princess Ananka, reanimated via mystic tanner leaves by high priests with a shared taste in hats,
by the mighty power of Amun-Ra,
used as a tool of vengeance. The problem with this is that the mummy is not an efficient tool of vengeance. He can barely summon up a brisk walking pace, and the films would be resolved quicker if the high priests did their own dirty work, but that wouldn't be as much fun. In the 3 remaining films, all straight sequels despite some continuity leaps,
At least I have the satisfaction of having destroyed a terrible monster.
Kharis, now played by Lon Chaney Jr., who hated the role, is relocated to the US, saving money on sets and locations.
He's just right in the Gladstone down on High Street. The sheriff and he are down there now.
These are very much B-movies, and it's some credit to their makers that they managed to be distinctive within the straitjacket of the series' basic plot.
Beneath the sheltering wings of their protection, we have come to the end of our quest.
To summarise, The Mummy, the 1932 classic with Karloff, and the only really great film of the series.
You shall not plunge my body into that.
Let the deed be done.
The Mummy's Hand. Knockabout terror with Tom Tyler now in the bandages. The Mummy's Tomb.
Now go, while the moon is still high in the sky.
The first with Lon Chaney Jr. and the first not to feature a mummy's tomb. Huge amounts of reused footage from previous films and Bride of Frankenstein. Very Mummy as a murder weapon plot. The Mummy's Ghost, the best of the Chaney films, with little reused footage, a more interesting plot, and a genuinely unexpected ending.
Wasn't he kept alive by the fluid from some sort of leaves?
Ramsey Ames is an excellent heroine, plus John Carradine.
Come, Kharis.
Finally, The Mummy's Curse, the worst of the Chaney films, undercutting that unexpected ending and leaving some really big questions dangling.
What are you talking about?
This release uses the same prints and special features as Universal's Legacy collection, but does not include 1955's Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. More on that next week. It makes up for that with new commentary tracks for all 4 sequels. Filmmaker Tom Scrabo and historian Rich Scrivani chattily trade trivia on Tomb. Tim Lucas is similarly interesting on Curse, and Tom Weaver, who is credited with assisting on all 4, does the commentary on Hand and Ghost, mixing in some MST3K style riffing.
She was my girlfriend. I'd ask her.
Well, she isn't, so don't bother.
Our first indication that this movie's quote-unquote hero, Tom Hervey, is an asshole.
Similar in tone to his Scripts from the Crypt series, and just as amusing / annoying, depending on your taste.
Good heavens, what a terrible curse.
The Legacy features include making of, with contributions from Sarah Karloff, makeup legend Rick Baker, and film historian Kevin Brownlow. Also a wonderful tribute to Jack Pierce,
the best makeup man in the world.
And a short but informative documentary on Carl Laemmle and the creation of Universal Studios. Commentary on The Mummy itself gives you a choice of roundtable chat between various experts, including Baker again and historian Steve Haberman, and a more fact-heavy and somewhat dry one from Paul M. Jensen.
What became of the mummy of Imhotep?
With only the original Mummy touching the heights, and even that with a few caveats, it's probably fair to call this the least of Universal's franchises, but the low ambitions of the sequels sort of work for it. Not trying to be more than it is allows the filmmakers to have some fun, and we join them in that. As long as you don't go in expecting anything as good as the Karloff film, they are very likeable. Thanks for watching. Please check out our longer retrospective of the Universal Mummy films here, and why not check out my own take on that durable legend, The Mummy's Quest. There's a link in the description below. What are your thoughts on the Universal Mummy, and what's your favourite of the 3 Chaney outings? Let us know in the comments below.